Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day, and I wholeheartedly appreciate all the support and have been enjoying the comments in the section from the video this morning. And I was listening to Alex Erickson's live last night, just doing a revisit to the prison confession, and it happens every time I listen to it. Something else jumps out at me. And I know in the live I said OMG, and then I was like, you know what? This deserves a video in itself. So I wanted to just hear your thoughts on it. So drop it in the comments below. But while listening to the confession, you hear Tammy and the detectives asking Chris about the morning of August 13th and if in fact Kessinger contacted him at all. And he mentions 13th, then he goes wavers to the 14th. But then listen to what he says she's asking him. She's asking him things like, what's the dog's name? Or what yoga studio does she attend? Or things like that. And ask yourself, what type of situation do you find yourself in every day where you may hear, what's the name of your first pet? What's the address of or what city is your yoga studio located in? Or like, what type of questions do these sound like? And I'll go ahead and share with you. To me, it sounds like password security questions. Like she's asking him these questions, trying to figure out what's a security passcode. And if that's the case, what is it that she's trying to get the passcode for? When did these calls take place? He mentions the 13th and then he backpedals and he says, oh no, it was the 14th before she met with the FBI. I don't know. We know that there's drops of truth in this entire confession, but is this a slip up? Is this an account for Kessinger having Shanann's phone in her hand, trying to figure out the password, trying to figure out maybe the password to a laptop? We saw that the office was absolutely ransacked. The whole entire house was, in immaculate condition. The office looked absolutely destroyed. And in every video that we've seen of Shanann's office, it's usually very well put together and at the very least, tidied up and organized. And that was not the case in the crime scene and body cam footage. So was there something missing? Was there an iPad? Was there a code? Did she have the girls with her on the 14th and trying to figure out how to open up an iPad or something to get them something to play with? It depends on what your theory is and where where you stand with this case. But in my opinion, this little clip of in my opinion, this interview was very, very scripted, very leading. But in this moment, forgive me for stumbling over my words. If you listen to the interview in its entirety, it's, pretty much close to like 4 hours, I believe. We know that this interview is in fact redacted. So we don't even have the full interview. But the parts that we do have, you can tell when Chris is telling truth and when he's either making something up or he's exaggerating. Like, you can tell because his voice fluctuations change. His demeanor and the way that he tells the narrative or the story, it changes. So if you haven't listened to the interview in its entirety, I do suggest you go back and listen to it. But listen to this clip and drop in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think this is proof that Kessinger had either some sort of technology or property, whether that was a phone, whether that was an iPad, a computer of some sort that belonged to, let's just suppose, maybe Shanann, and she's trying to get into it? Because keep in mind, most of us have been saying, I don't want to say all, most of us have been saying that if in fact Chris or Kessinger could have gotten into Shanann's phone, this very well could have turned out completely differently, because they would have been able to get into Shanann's phone and be able to access texting her friends and saying, hey, I'm okay, like I'm just not feeling well, so I'm resting today, or something to that effect. Like they would have been able to text her friends to ease the worry, and then they would have plenty of time to get back to the house to finish whatever it was that needed to be finished. So again, just a random thought, caught it when I was listening to the confession again, and would love to hear your thoughts. Please remain respectful and kind, and please keep them objective. I know it's a very polarizing case sometimes, but for this, let's just be friendly, be nice. At the very least, be respectful. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And if you are here in Florida with this heat, God bless you. Stay cool, guys. Thank you.
Afterwards, after all this happened?
On the 13th and the 14th.
What was that conversation like?
It was the 13th. It was kind of like, it was more text and then maybe a phone call, And then she thought maybe Shanann took off with the kids, because I was telling her I didn't know where they were and all that. And then the 14th, she kind of thought something may have happened because they hadn't come back.
Why do you say that she might have thought that?
She kept asking me some weird questions. She kept asking questions that only I would know, but she was testing to see if it was actually me on the phone.
What do you mean?
She would ask what's my dog's name, or what do I what yoga studio do I go to, or something like that. And just I just answer and then another thing, I'm not sure if this is you. I'm just okay.
Is this through text or is this through calls?
Text.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't hearing your voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible she thought you'd been arrested and we were on the phone?
Either Shanann had my phone or somebody else had my phone, or maybe she thought it was.
So let's pause for just a moment just to discuss what we've heard so far. In this, you hear Chris mention that on the 13th, he did speak to, or communicate with, I should say, Kessinger. And he states that it's on this day that she's asking him some odd questions, claiming to try to make sure to verify that it's him that she's communicating with. And you hear Tammy Lee ask him some more pointed questions about what he's saying. So he is saying that Kessinger is asking him, what's the name of the dog and what's the name of the yoga studio. To me, that sounds like Kessinger is saying, what's the yoga studio that she goes to and what's the name of her dog? Because if he answers that accurately, then surely it's not Shanann, because in her eyes, then Shanann would not even know the name of her dog and things like that. But we hear Tammy continue on with, well, Shanann would already know those things. And you hear Chris say, yeah, but this was Kessinger asking me. And she's like, well, yeah, but if she's asking you what's the name of your dog and what's the name of the yoga studio you go to, Shanann's going to know those things. And then we hear Chris go along with it. So I guess my question is, do you pick up on this as Kessinger was asking these questions because she was trying or fishing to get password question information? Because we know that Apple requires a 2-step process, and if you don't have that, then you do have to answer security questions. And some of the security questions are, what's your dog's name, what's your mom's maiden name, those types of things. Where's the location, that you go to the gym or something like that. You can personalize them. I want to say that I've seen Shanann at a yoga studio in some form or fashion, but unfortunately a lot of her Facebook has been shut down or deleted, and I didn't want to take 18 hours to try to find one photo, because that tends to happen to me with videos. but I feel like it warrants a question. You know, if in fact Chris is saying that Kessinger was asking him about it, then why is Tammy Lee hammering into him that Shanann would already know those answers? So it's almost like, is this a twist in this interrogation, in this interview? Is it just a complete misunderstanding? Or was this an indication that Kessinger could have potentially been inside the Watts home that morning of the 13th with Shanann's phone or laptop, trying to gain access and realizing, holy crap, she changed the password on the phone, and, you know, now they can't get into it. Because if they had been able to get into it, then, again, they would have been able to send out messages to her friends and say, hey, she's fine, but she's not feeling, you know, she's just going to rest or something like that. So the worry and the alert would not have gone off as soon as it did. So let's listen to it one more time and let me know what you think.
Afterwards, after all this happened,
On the 13th and the 14th.
what was that conversation like?
It was the 13th. It was kind of like, you know, it was more text and then maybe a phone call, like a phone call. And then she thought maybe Shanann like took off with the kids, like just, you know, because I was telling her I didn't know where they were and all that. And then the 14th, she kind of like, I think she kind of thought something may have happened because they had to come back.
Why do you say that she might have thought that?
Or, you know, she kept asking me like some weird questions. Like she kept asking like questions that only I would know, but she was testing to see if like it was actually me on the phone. Like,
What do you mean?
like she would ask like, you know, like what's my dog's name, or like what do I like, what yoga studio do I go to, or something like that. And just like, like I just answer and like I'm, and then like another thing, like, I'm not sure if this is you. I'm just like, okay.
Is this through text or is this through call?
Text.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't hearing your voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible she thought you'd been arrested and we were on the phone?
Either Shanann had my phone or somebody else had my phone, or like maybe, you know, maybe she thought it was.
Well, hopefully Shanann would know all the answers to those questions, right?
No. This is Nikki asking me.
Yeah, but she's asking you your name of your dog and what yoga studio and
Yeah.
like wouldn't
Well,
Shanann know that?
maybe she thought, you know, maybe I was with Shanann. She was just trying to find out who she was.
I
Yeah,
can
like
see
some of the conversation, like on the 14th, got a little weird. I think that's when she met with CBI or something, or FBI. I'm not sure who she met with first.
So she talked to you after she met with?
No.
Oh, she
That
did.
was like she had told me like, this is the last time you'll probably hear from me. I'm going to stay at my friend Jim's place. All this is all going on. Should not contact her until this is.
All right, guys. So that is the information I had for this video. And I really hope that you'll take a moment, you know, just leave your objective opinions down below. What are your thoughts on it? Have you ever noticed this before? Has this been a question for you before? Please make sure you're respectful and kind in the comments, and just know, again, it's okay to have differing opinions, but it's not okay to be ugly. And I really appreciate those of you who are adhering to that and are just very supportive of the channel. I appreciate you very much, and I will be in the comments below.